We're getting towards the end of January here. It's pretty cold this week. I've started to fill up a few of these beds with soil. I'll show that. I still need to run the irrigation to all of them. I just haven't had a warm, dry day to do it because we've had so much rain and now it's so cold. But in just a couple of weeks here, things will start to, like some of our spring garden, our peas, our cilantro is already actually, there's some starting from last year's seeds in that bed. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't do a lot from seed. I do some, but in this case, cilantro is one that I do from seed. So I'm just gonna throw some cilantro or coriander seeds into these beds. I have not tried this from seed, bunching onions, but I'm gonna put some of those back there too. I don't have the beds ready for the peas yet, but I need to get those into soil in the next week or two because here by the beginning of the mid-February, these plants will start to grow. And into May, June, that's the end of our growing season for peas here because it gets too warm. So I need to get some things going. I need to get these filled up with soil. One thing I'm concerned about, I have some strawberries too that I'm gonna plant back here. I've struggled in years past with having some beds get too much sun, some get not enough sun, and that's actually why I've completely changed the layout this year. So this will be tomatoes. This is full sun, 10 hours a day in the summer. This is 10 hours a day in the summer. I think I'm gonna do corn and melons in here. Same over there, there's one, it's about 10 hours. This is probably 8 hours in the summer because it gets the shade after about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, so maybe even a little bit less, 7 to 8, it could even be 6 to 7. But I think I'm gonna put my strawberries back here because they do get that afternoon shade when it's so harsh. These are kind of my winter beds, or will be. I've got some lettuce, some radish, there is some coriander and onion in there. That's an old broccoli plant. I didn't cut it back last year and I wanted to see if it would grow again. I know typically you wouldn't do that. But for my strawberries, while the actual plant would survive this cold weather, I actually want to get strawberries and flowers early. And so I'm gonna build a makeshift greenhouse just that goes over this bed. I may do the same for my pea plants, which are behind the camera currently, when I cover those. So as I do those, I'll get them on video as well. But I'm gonna throw more onions and cilantro in here. These beds are kind of haphazard. I just kind of grow all the stuff together. More of companion gardening. It's not as organized. Whereas the others are more laid out and intentional. I'll show you what we have going on for the irrigation. I am really just reusing the funny pipe that I had last year and restringing it and trying to plug all the holes and put new, more efficient irrigation on. So I've got to work through that. I'll show you though what I've got going on so far and walk you through it. All right, last year I have this irrigation coming out, and for the drip lines that I use on the garden, it's sufficient. It's actually plugged into the same line that I have one of my yard sprinklers on. I've kind of dug up some trenches. The soil right now started to thaw this afternoon a bit, so it's not quite frozen, but because we've had so much rain, it's kind of wet. That's all clay. That's what we have here. So I figured I'd kind of run the trenches now before it dries and just becomes hard again. You can see like right here, those little knobs. That's everywhere I've had irrigation lines in the past. So for this section, these are all old ones I just need to work through.
I need to run irrigation both sides here, but I don't have soil in it yet. I need to, there's a bunch that I need to run. But for now, I think I've plugged all the holes. There's a bunch of those little knobs on them now. And I just want to test it, make sure that there aren't any major leaks. Because once I bury all this with soil, I don't want to have to worry about it. So I still need to add some additional sprinkler heads. I don't like this one coming out way over here. I'll change that. In fact, I'll do that before I run a test on a sprinkler. And then I actually have it running to the chickens' water too back there, just for the summer, so I don't have to worry about it daily. Okay, so I'll fix that one thing I was talking about, and then turn the water back on and run a test. Thought I should real quick show you what the plugs for the funny pipe look like. They come attached to this piece of plastic. I think I had 10 per group. Super cheap. I buy them online on Amazon, but you just rip it off, and then depending on how big the hole is on a funny pipe, you could do the small size or the big size. I've mostly done the small size. I just pulled one of these out. They get a bit weather rotted. Some come out and I can reuse. Some have the parts snap off. This one snapped off. So what I did is I just took the needle nose pliers, pushed it in so that the hole was open for the plug to go in. And then I'm gonna take this plug right here and with the needle nose pliers, just push it down into the hole until it kind of snaps. Works a lot better when it's warm outside, but you can still do it in the cold. So you can see how just one hole can really cause an issue on your irrigation. I'll plug that one up, and I had another I needed to plug, but that gives me an idea. And it may seem kind of crazy to run this here in the end of January. I don't have the sprinklers turned on right now, but as far as like testing and getting your irrigation up might seem a bit crazy. Keep in mind here, I mean, we start to get some of the spring plants in mid-February to late February, so well, I still need to be careful of a frost when I finally decide to turn the sprinklers on, which I probably won't do until March. I need to have them all up and running and tested before I have these beds filled with soil and plants. At that point, it's just a pain if you have to dig everything up. So test your irrigation before you put all your soil in the beds, before you decide to plant your plants. It's gonna save you a lot of time and trouble. For me, once I test all my sprinkler lines, I do like them partially submerged, not completely. You do have to access them. You're gonna have leaks. You're gonna have to change sprinkler heads throughout the season. But mine, I don't want them to be such a tripping hazard. So I'll go through and just kind of till the earth back up on it. On this one, I left some exposed. I still need to add some lines in there. And this one has a plug, but I need to get even a bigger plug. That was one of the leaks. The other one I fixed with a plug. But once it kind of dries and settles, I'll come out here with a rake and smooth it back out. One thing you don't want to forget though, if you are testing your sprinkler lines in the winter, just make sure that you turn the water line back off so you're not freezing pipes. And that's pretty much how to get your garden bed set up. I've got a few things to do still. I'm gonna fill a couple in with dirt pretty quick. Even though my compost isn't 100% where I want it, I'm gonna fill them back in. I'll just have to watch the weeds and the seeds. But I have a few things like the peas and other plants that I want to get in the next week. So my next step is I'm gonna build a makeshift temporary greenhouse over that box for the strawberries, which I'll show. This one's gonna be tomatoes, so is that one, so those will wait. Corn and melons, that's gonna wait. But right here, these are gonna be peas. Haven't decided on that last box, but I need to get those in now, so I will do that and in the next week or so. And again, I'll show when I go to make that box how to insulate it. Just
to get a couple weeks early start on your beds.